Great crowd, Zook and Lumen Field. They bring about 6,000 more in than they had, 5,000 to 6,000 more, and we knew that because their opener was on a Thursday, and now they got to play another Thursday game, so not ideal for your attendance numbers to have 2 of your 3 first home games on a Thursday, but you're really going to see this attendance start to pick up in Lumen Field. They were loud. That 12th man was out, not just for the Seahawks, but for the Sea Dragons as well. Here's the headline, though, Zook, of Saturday night in Seattle. June Jones goes for 1. He blew our minds. It's a miracle. I'm sitting there pinching myself. He went for 1. And they were up 9 in that game. So it's almost like if you didn't go for 1, you would have been chastised. You would have been crucified for that one. But they didn't get it. They didn't get it. He'll never do it again. He said, everybody in the universe wants me to go for 1 right now. Okay, I'll cave. They run the ball. They don't get it. So he's never doing that again. It doesn't matter what they'll be up by. Anyway, if you watch Thursday's show, you weren't surprised at all by the result of this one. I said if you were going to back San Antonio, this offense was going to have you miserable. And boy, did they ever. You learned everything you needed to know about the San Antonio Brahmas on their first drive. They get into a 3rd and 1. Jack Cohn pulls the read. His tailback, Kalen Ballage, gets crushed anyway. Cohn loses like 4 yards. We know he can't run. It's just these short yardage situations. Like I say situations. That's what they feel like, not situations. For San Antonio in these short yardage situations, that's honestly what they feel like. They can't convert these plays. 3rd and short, 4th and short. They just, we'll pull up their numbers on 3rd down later, but man, just brutal. Last week, 4 plays from the 1 to beat Houston. They can't get a yard. They lose 5. Final drive of the game, it reared its ugly head again. 4th and 1. And I can't even be mad at them for the play call because they actually threw it this time. I was critical of them for trying to pound it up the middle 4 times. So when they throw it and they still can't get a completion. It's ironic to me that the San Antonio Brahmas wear black and yellow because they remind me of the Iowa Hawkeyes. I haven't seen an offense this bad and a defense this good since the Iowa Hawkeyes. And all night, that Brahmas defense just battling. I can't figure it out with this team. And Hines Ward alluded to it in the post-game press conference. We're not playing complimentary football. Special teams crushing it. Parker Romo drills a 57-yarder. Defense out there killing it without some of their best players. The Scott twins were out. Offense, awful. I point to a drive in the 3rd quarter where the San Antonio Brahmas proved they were for real on defense. 13 plays, 60 yards for the Dragons. They eat up 7 minutes. And they had to settle for a field goal. That's huge to get them off the field there with 3. Luke Barco, 6 tackles? He had a pick, a sack. Great game for number 1 in yellow. And not a single one of you Brahmas fans or bettors are allowed to be mad at him. It wasn't his fault they lost this game. And I know everybody will point to that play with Josh Gordon. It was not his fault. You cannot expect this defense to hold forever. It's like plugging a leak with a sticky tack. It's going to bust. The San Antonio Brahmas defense cannot hold forever in these games. They held Houston to 0 points in the second half last week. When will they score? But flipping to Seattle, and there's the 3rd down numbers that we mentioned. Just awful. 35% on the season, 18 and 23% the last couple of weeks. Flipping to Seattle a little bit here. Morgan Ellison. I mean, what can you say about this guy? 16 carries, 69 yards. And like always, each one of them was hard fought. Each one of them he was trucking over somebody to get. I don't know, Zook. Brian Hill's really good for St. Louis. And a lot of you love him in daily fantasy. I think Morgan Ellison's the best tailback in this league. Very, very good running back out of southeastern Louisiana. So this is the least amount Seattle scored all year, which we figured might happen in a game like this. But 5.2 yards per carry for Ellison. He has 10 runs of 10 plus on the season. That leads the league by a mile. He also leads the league in yardage. No surprise there. And I wouldn't have known that coming into the year because, again, he was behind Brendan Knox on the depth chart, and he also has a run and shoot offense that they pass to set up the run. So great job for Morgan Ellison. When we do our midseason awards here on Springball Boulevard, he'll definitely be in line for a few superlatives. And the Seattle defense, guys, better than you think. Coach Fly, the Penn State guy with his Penn State product out there, Sharif Miller. He's a linebacker coach in Seattle. Shout out him. Sharif Miller, another sack. Tuzar Skipper, 2 sacks of his own. A huge one down the stretch. And we said Thursday, we thought Ben DiNucci could get to 300 passing yards in this one. Well, he fell short. He got to 264. But I did say hammer that under 2.5 pass touchdowns. He only threw 1 passing touchdown. That Brahmas secondary is legit. So the Iowa Hawkeyes of the XFL fall to 1-3 on the season. I know. I get it. You didn't have TJ Vasher. He's your best receiver. Listen, it's no excuse. DC won games this year with 3 offensive linemen out. It's next man up. Houston just missed. They were missing their tailback. He's done a ton this year. They won. So you got to find ways to replace these guys. And I know Vasher's a valuable asset, but I'm not sure he would have really done that much against Seattle. So Hines Ward, how much longer is he going to put up with Jamie Elizondo? That's the question. I know he kind of wanted to get more involved in play calling, but this is not the Hines Ward standard. So it'll be interesting to see if Elizondo will last. Parker Romo, again, highlighting him, 57-yard field goal. That was the longest one by far. That kid got himself an XFL tryout, or NFL tryout, excuse me. So, Zook, that Ben DiNucci interception, I was on the road. I would have loved to have been watching the game with you here. I mean, we're throwing the ball up 9. At the end of the game, I think San Antonio had 2 timeouts. Ben DiNucci throws a pick. And we heard Jim Haslett after the game, calls him over during handshakes, and he says, I'm going to kill you. There's no filter from the old man Haslett. I hope DiNucci took the message because that got scary at the end, and they are -8 in turnover margin. So Seattle kind of flying close to the sun here, but they are 2-2 and on the right track.